it's me, Ruowen Huang. It's my coffee break time. Here, let me clean this first. Here. It's Friday of 13. Hope you guys have a great Friday of 13. It was so funny because I'll share a conversation with you guys. A couple days ago, my son said, "Mom, it's going to be a Friday 13 this weekend." I said, "Oh, great." He's like, "Well, why is it great?" Because, Friday 13 is an unlucky day. I say, "Well, I don't agree." She said, "Well, everybody say so." I said, "Well, that's what everybody say." Actually, when I was a kid, Friday of 13 was my unlucky day too, because I tend to fall a lot. I mean, I trip over things, or I fall way more than I used to on Friday of 13. So if I fall to a certain amount, then I know it's Friday of 13, even without checking the calendar year, right? So somewhere around my 14 years old, I decided I no longer want to trip on Friday of 13. I'm going to make it my luckiest day of all. So I start changing my thought. So every time when it comes to Friday of 13, I try to spot what made me lucky that day. Does that make sense? Like what made me lucky? So it take a couple years, but eventually I turn it around and Friday of 13 become the luckiest day of all. So anyway, when I tell my son the story, he didn't believe that. He say, "Well, Mom, that didn't work." I said, "Well, it worked for me. You should give it a try, right? Either you believe what other people say Friday of 13 should mean to you, or you decide how the Friday of 13 should mean to you." So, I'm a living proof to show you Friday 13 is my luckiest day of all. And I believe you can do that too. So anyway, that's just a little conversation about Friday of 13 with you guys. But, today I want to talk about creating grid. I don't know if you guys know about the grid. But before I start, my name is Ruowen Huang. I'm an author, spirit coach, and also a psychic. I don't know if any of you heard about grit. Grit is actually a tendency to substance interest in and effort toward a very long-term goal. You'll probably hear a lot of motivational speakers talking about it. You'll hear a lot of parents try to teach their kids about that, or, because if you have grit in life, basically you don't need anybody to, nag you or do anything. You're pretty much driven or motivated by yourself toward whatever goal you have. So this is such an important thing, right? Since it's such an important thing, it kind of driven you to reach whatever life that you want to create for yourself. So sure enough, a lot of motivational speaker or a lot of parents will want to know how can they teach their kids grit. So by parent teaching their kids grit, it just continue talking about it, But what I try to tell you, that doesn't really usually work. We all know, we all been teenager before, right? We know how it's like when parents talk to us. I mean, sure, we get it. All the word they try to tell us is the word of wisdom, but to a teenager, they don't think of that. You got about 15 to about 19-year-old to shape their personality, and that personality is gonna stay with them and decide how their life gonna be, right? So if you're gonna teach them about grit, about their teenager time, if you turn into nagging, the chances they're very likely fall into I'm not good enough. My mom is always nagging at me, or blah 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 blah, which most of teenagers hear parent talk anyway. So the reason I talk about this is, aside from this, I'm going to share a story with you, right? Last weekend, I tell you, it's a very stressful weekend on my weekend. It was my daughter's provincial volleyball tournament, right? It's a big deal, right? Big deal for parents. I don't know if it's a big deal for kids, big deal for parents, right? So sure enough, my kids decide to sprain her ankle that week. So you know what happened. You sprain your ankle, it takes a long time to heal, and then she couldn't recover, right? Okay, my daughter is a piece of art, okay? Sorry for this. I think it's seasonal. But anyway, the reason I say my daughter is a piece of art is, have you ever looked at someone and they are athletic? Just the way they move, or the way they do different sport, or the way they are. Especially easy for athlete to spar and athletic. Does that make sense to you? So for me, since my husband and me are both athletic when we were young age, right? We can look at our daughter and really appreciate her. Not because she's our daughter, it's because she really have that athletic quality that I'm pretty sure both me and my husband would like to have when we were young, right? But we spent years trying to tell her she is natural-born athlete. Does that make sense to you? That means she can do all the sports so effortless, and then she doesn't even realize she's doing this without making effort. Does that make sense? And she can pick up things really fast. So unfortunately, she didn't have a good coach to really spot that and then help her out to develop that. Does that make sense? So for 2 years, she was sitting on the So for 2 years, she was kind of a play school team. She was sitting on a bench all the time because, people continued telling her, well, you hit too hard, you hit too far, you're too strong, you should hit a little bit, not so hard or something like that, right? So she's living in 2 years believing she's not good enough. I'm not good enough. Other people are way better than me. Other people are better than me, right? So until this time, we actually got her to try club volleyball. Club volleyball is basically outside school, but it's more like in the regional, they select the good athlete, right? So she got into the club volleyball. So in the short distance of time, in a month or 2 months, we see how she improved from here to there, right? But we know that is not even close to what her potential is, because we can tell there's a greater potential, but it's not there. And we don't understand why she cannot improve as fast as other people. So sure, you're not talking to her, you can continue hearing because other people are better than her. Other people joined the club long ago. Other people been trained for a while, and she's not. So through conversation, my daughter is always talking about how she's not good enough, right? No matter how hard she works, how hard she practices, she will never be as good as that person that is, already being practiced for years or already been club for a while. So sure enough, even though she's improving, she's never exaggerate, right? So we're happy she's improving, but we're hoping for that grit to happen. Right, so we can talk about grit so many times. We can talk about, you would be driven by onesie open, right? So sure enough, as a parent, what we can do is have faith. We can only have faith because no matter what you say or do, it will only become blah, 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 right? Everybody who have kids, everybody who been athlete before know it's not like how people tell you. People can tell you so many things, but it really happened within yourself, especially your athlete, right? So I'm going to use it as a reference to athlete because I believe all athletes gone through this. We all gone through a time believing we are not good enough. It's that moment that we believe, you know what, maybe I can do better than this, right? Tipping point. When you have that tipping point, that's when the grit start kicking in, right? So sure enough, we went to the provincial. Long story short, go to the provincial. She got a sprained ankle. She cannot do anything. It happened to be most of the coaches is away, so we had these coaches, newer coaches, right? Still good, newer coaches. Newer coaches tend to use every club have an A team or B team. A team is a better team. B team is not as good, right? So what the strategy they do is they always send out the A team. If an A team somehow win the first game, then they would put the B team in, right? My daughter fall into the B team, right? So what happened is through this whole tournament, the coaches decide to use A team the whole way, most of the time, right? Maybe sub it once, but that's it, right? So the whole way. Now you can only imagine, no matter how good you are, if you play the game for so long, right, without a break, you're gonna get tired. You're going to get tired anyway. So to a point on the day second, it was brutal because even the A team making the mistake like a beginner domain. They will serve the ball into the net or, they are not responsive to the ball or something, right? So sure enough, it disappointed a lot of, if your kids in sport, I'm pretty sure, you were disappointed. Your kids drive all the way there, but you didn't even get touch the ball or they didn't even sub anybody or anything, right? That's fine. My kids, since sprained the ankle, cannot do the game anyway. So it doesn't make much difference for me, right? So it was not until on the way back home, driving home, my daughter started talking about she's complaining how they making the mistake, even she would not make it, right? And then she started to think, I can do better than that. So for her to start asking me, Mom, is there any way I can improve my skill? Is there any way I can improve my skill? Like, is there any camp that would better my skill or anything like that? Seriously, I don't know if you guys, for many of parents out there who try to teach your kids grit, you will know exactly how I feel, right? That's a moment you really want to sing hallelujah, because really, for people to start asking you question that, the grit is already there, and then they are now driven by their own desire to get better, their own desire to win the game, their own desire to reach certain goal, right? That they no longer need their parent to nag at them or tell them or try to motivate them. You know what I mean? So that is grit. If you want to know what grit is basically when you have a desire or tendency that you sustain certain interests or making effort toward a very long-term goal, right? So the reason I want to share this story with you, my personal story, but the reason I want to share this story with you is you will start to realize it doesn't just apply to athlete. It actually applies to many areas in our life. You have to understand, many of you are like me or like my daughter, right? We're living our life believing other people are better than us. You know why? Because they maybe go ahead of us. They maybe, have a couple more years, hardworking than us or things like that. What we see is the result. That result that we continue telling us that we cannot reach. Right? Disregard how many years they put into it to make themselves better. I've been telling my kids, no one was born good at something. People, if you're not good at something, just make sure you continue practicing it. Because if you continue practicing it, you will be good one day, right? So same thing. So what happened is most of us living our life believing other people have it better than us. Other people having better than us, you know what's bad about that? When we continue thinking other people have it better than us, we actually come back and deny our own existence, our own value, our own thing. Because at the moment we continue comparing, which I already talked about yesterday, the moment you put yourself in a comparison situation, what do? You actually put yourself in a lower position, and you actually have to fight one dark side of you that's called I'm not good enough. You know what I mean? So grit, I realize, is not something parent can teach, but something we can have faith in. I mean, whether it's your friend, whether it's your kids, whether it's anybody, instead of trying so hard to squeeze this knowledge to them, at this time, I think the best way for them is to experience it. What we can do is having faith in them. I have faith it's going to kick in. I just hope it can be shorter time sometime. But hey, you know what? It kick in. That's all good, right? So as a parent, what we can do is instead of try to preaching, try to tell them, try to say, this is what you should learn, this is what you should do. I think there's no better way to teach something for them to actually experiencing it. So experiencing, what I'm here trying to tell you is, if you understand what I'm trying to tell you, you're born in this society, there will always be someone ahead of you. There will always be someone who is more successful than you. But does that mean something? Does that mean you are less than them? No. That simply means you are not practicing enough, right? If you want to have grit for your life, really, grit is something that can make you almost achieve anything that you want for long-term goal, right? If you want to have that in your life, don't wait for someone to teach that to you. Make that happen for yourself. You know what I mean? You will put yourself in the same situation. You will start identifying it. Just because they are good, does that mean I'm not good? Does that mean I will never be as good, right? Maybe I just don't practice enough, right? So when you start to let go of that sentence called I'm not good enough or I will never be as good as them, you let that go sentence. It's the moment that you actually think, I can do better than them. Because that's exactly what kicked in to my daughter. I can do better than that. They are always good, but why would they make such a mistake? I don't understand, right? So your mind start questioning it. You start questioning it and start believing you can do better than that. That's how you can give that grit to yourself. You know what I mean? So if you want to create a grit to your life, guys, make that happen for yourself. Stop believing, don't always ask people to give it to you, but stop believing you yourself can do better than that. I can do better than this, right? And I'm gonna try it. There must be a way. If it takes 3 years to success, maybe I can shorten it to 2. How can I do it, right? So instead of questioning, you know what, maybe I'm just not good. Maybe I'm just not good. Catch yourself when you're saying that, right? And then learn to let that go. And start thinking about how can I make it better. It's the same thing, really. Same to the beginning of the story I shared with you. I can either believing people tell me Friday of 13 is the unluckiest day, or I'm going to make a difference. How did I make a difference? Is instead of looking for the bad thing that happened in my life, I start focusing on what is a lucky thing that happened today. And guess what? Take a couple years, I turn everything around. So I'm going to give you a little example of my life, and hopefully you guys got a little bit idea. If you ever want to create grit for your life, that is the same thing. Bring your focus to different thing. Instead of thinking I'm not good enough, start thinking about how can I make better of this? How can I make better of this? And then you will be just like every athlete, every normal people, things like that. You might be able to change your situation around. So anyway, long talk on my coffee break, but I hope you guys enjoy it. I really like you. You're awesome. Hey, you're awesome too. So again, if you guys like what I'm doing, you can always join me live on Facebook, or go to my subscribe my YouTube channel, or go to my English website at ruowen.com. Till then, I'll see you guys next week. Bye. Have a great weekend.